About a year after that, she petitioned the court to involuntarily terminate my parental rights to both my son and to Tasha. I acted as my own attorney because I had nothing but time, so I went to the law library and I taught myself law, and acting as my own attorney, I fought it in court and I won. And at that time, it was the opinion of the judge at that time that Julia, or Miss Mock.
So I said, Erica, I said, will you do me a favor? She said, what, Bub? I said, will you make sure you go to the hospital for me? She said, yes, I will.
But you're not smart enough to know when you're lying. Sitting up trying to pin a baby on a man. Hold on, I'm talking now. Since all you can do is shrug your shoulders, stay silent.
Walking into paternity court with decades of buried secrets is rarely a good idea, but that's exactly what unfolds here. The case pits Mr. Don White against Ms. Julia Mock, with their daughter Tasha stuck in the emotional crossfire. Mr. White insists his parental rights were taken while he was behind bars, leading to another man adopting Tasha. Julia counters with a blunt claim he was never the biological father. Judge Lauren Lake prepares everyone for a journey through truth, pain, and a DNA test that could change everything.
Mr. White, you've brought your ex-wife to court today because you believe she mysteriously had your parental rights revoked for a girl you believe was your biological daughter, thus allowing another man to adopt her.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you've petitioned the court for a DNA test and say once the results prove that you are indeed Miss Tasha Mock's biological father.
Mr. White starts by laying out his history with precision. He and Julia married in the early 80s and had a son. Tasha was conceived right before he went to prison. His name appears on her birth certificate, proof that Julia once believed he was her father. He clings to those documents like anchors, determined to show he has always stood by what he believed was right. The tension is immediate.
You don't owe him a single dollar, and it's your hope that when today's test results are revealed, Mr. White will leave you and your daughter alone for good.
Yes.
So, Mr. White, obviously you feel you've been lied to. Please explain to the court why.
Your Honor, in the early 1980s, Julia and I were married. She birthed me a son 10 months afterwards. A year later, she was pregnant with Tasha, and I ended up going to jail.
While incarcerated, he took it upon himself to study the law, yes, seriously, and successfully fought Julia's attempt to terminate his rights. The court even allowed him visitation from prison and required Julia to accept his collect calls if he paid half the cost through his prison wages. Judge Lake acknowledges the determination it took to pull that off, and you can see the pride radiating off him.
About a year after that, she petitioned the court to involuntarily terminate my parental rights to both my son and to Tasha. I acted as my own attorney because I had nothing but time, so I went to the law library and I taught myself law, and acting as my own attorney, I fought it in court and I won. And at that time, it was the opinion of the judge at that time that Julia, or Miss Mock.
Then Julia drops a revelation. She says she warned him years ago that Tasha would be adopted because she didn't think he was the father. She admits she had been involved with another man during their marriage. Judge Lake immediately goes to the heart of the issue. If that's true, why did she put Mr. White's name on the birth certificate? The contradiction hangs heavily in the air.
That's the first time there was ever any question in my mind, really, that she was my daughter or not.
Ms. Mock.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are submitting to this court that Mr. White is not, in fact, her biological father?
I don't believe so.
Please explain why, specifically.
He was always leaving me, going out with other women. Why should I have to deal with that?
So are you saying because he would leave you and go out with other women, you would sleep with other men?
Julia openly acknowledges she was married to Mr. White, but seeing someone else. Meanwhile, Tasha explains that she grew up believing her adoptive father was her biological dad, until she overheard her grandmother mention another man entirely. The confusion on her face is palpable, and her hurt is unmistakable.
So therefore, it's your belief that you were sleeping with this man that truly is Miss Mock's biological father, but because you were married to Mr. White, you put his name on the birth certificate?
Yes, because the other gentleman walked out of my life too.
Miss Mock, who did you actually think was your father growing up?
I believed my adopted father was my father.
At 16, Tasha discovered a birth certificate carrying Mr. White's last name. When she turned to her mother for answers, Julia brushed it off, reminding her she was a Mock now. She then recounts cutting off prison visits and finalizing the adoption. The room falls silent as decades of unresolved truth sit heavy on everyone present.
When I was 16, I had found a birth certificate. My mother and I were going through a trunk and we found my birth certificate, and on it had Mr. White's last name.
Did you question your mother?
Oh, absolutely. And she stated just that I was a mock now.
So she basically didn't deny the fact?
Mr. White doesn't hold back. He argues that the adoption was done improperly, costing him 3 decades with his daughter, and costing Tasha the chance to know where she truly came from. Judge Lake turns to Julia, asking what really drove her choices. Was it to shield the children from the reality of prison visits, or because she genuinely believed Mr. White wasn't the biological father? Julia admits it was a mix of both.
Illegally allowed Tasha to be adopted. These people have accosted me 30 years of being able to experience with my daughter growing up. They've denied her the right to know her natural father. This is a God-given right to everybody.
Ms. Ma, what is the motive behind all of this?
I was trying to protect them.
Tasha then explains the moment she decided to take control of her own story. In her late 20s, she reached out to Mr. White on Facebook, and the way he lights up while reliving that memory, you can see how much that message meant to him. It was as if, after years of locked doors, one finally opened a crack.
Tasha, I have to ask you, at what point did you just decide, I want to know the truth?
Well, when I was 26, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and I put a lot of thought into it. I was blind and I couldn't walk, so I had nothing but time to sit and think about it.
Their first face-to-face meeting was intense in all the best ways. Mr. White describes it like time stood still. Tasha recalls feeling both relieved and overwhelmed. The entire courtroom seems to exhale together. This is the heart of the matter. Judge Lake gently steers the conversation back to the purpose of the hearing, understanding the facts so that the emotional healing can begin.
How did it feel when you first saw her?
I don't know the words to express it because there was such a warmth and a flood to come over me when I got to wrap my arms around her. It was like nothing in the world mattered at that point. You know, it's 30-year battle is over. I finally won. That's how I felt.
You say these 30 years have been filled with so much pain.
Yes, I have. I lost my only son. The first time I saw her was at my son's funeral.
Julia maintains that part of her distance over the years came from fear and a desire to protect her daughter. Mr. White says the emotional toll and what he calls deception cost him profoundly, and he seeks $5,000 in damages. One raised eyebrow from Judge Lake makes it clear this isn't a small claims dispute, even if the pain behind it is very real.
To get in touch with me is because she thought I'd be mad as hell. I said, I understand you were an angry 14-year-old girl that just lost your best friend in the world.
Mr. White, can you please explain to the court and to Ms. Mock the basis of your suit?
Well, Your Honor, I believe that the emotional distress that I've been put through by the obvious deception by Mrs. Mock is well worth the $5,000 I'm asking for emotional distress.
Stories of missed trips, broken promises, and long-lost opportunities surface. Then comes the difficult question. If the DNA test shows he's not the biological father, will Mr. White remain in Tasha's life? He says he will, but the uncertainty hangs in the air. Tasha may be an adult, but the child inside her still longs for steady answers.
Hooks Forest or wherever is a camping trip. That was all me, all my blood, nothing to do with him. And I don't owe him anything. He should owe me at least an apology for leaving me. And that is my child. I don't want to share her anymore.
If Mr. White is deemed to be the biological father today,
take her from me.
That's what you feel.
Yes.
Julia reminds everyone that Tasha already has a father, the man who adopted her. Tasha, holding back tears, says she wants nothing more than peace and emotional stability, especially given her health challenges. Judge Lake softens, shifting the tone. This moment isn't about winning or losing. It's about a family trying to rebuild after decades of fragile footing.
She has a father. He adopted her.
Do you understand the need, the desire,
Yes.
the longing in her to know who her biological father is?
Yes.
And as her mother, is there a part of you that wants to provide, to fulfill that need?
Yes.
That's a natural mother's instinct.
Yes, I do. I only want my daughter to be happy because of her illness.
Judge Lake urges the room to put Tasha's well-being first. The priority now is doing whatever will bring her the stability she deserves. Mr. White holds firm that biological truth matters to a person's sense of identity. Julia says she finally hears her daughter clearly. For the first time, it feels like the dynamic in the room is shifting, maybe even toward healing.
You want to make your daughter happy and do what's necessary to make sure she gets the information she needs to be able to live a happy life. On the other hand, if you have to help her find another gentleman that may potentially be her biological father, you're not willing to help? That doesn't make any sense.
He left us.
Okay, but she's trying to find out who her biological father is. It's as if because the men wronged you, you making her suffer for it.
The tension spikes as Judge Lake reaches for the envelope. Cameras cut between Mr. White's steady focus, Julia's composed expression, and Tasha's shaking hands. This is the moment everything has been building toward. Decades of uncertainty balanced on a single verdict. You can practically feel the room holding its breath.
In the case of White versus Mock, pertaining to 30-year-old Ms. Tasha Mock, it has been determined by this court, Mr. White, you are not the father.
Then it happens. Judge Lake reads the result. Mr. White, you are not the father. Tasha's face collapses under the weight of it. Mr. White leans toward her, whispering, I'm still here for you, baby. Julia sits in stunned silence, trying to absorb it all. A wave of shock rolls through the courtroom. No one, and I mean no one, saw this coming.
I'll still help you.
Are you okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. White, are you all right?
Yes, Your Honor, I will be.
I know it's not the news you wanted. You say that you will help her find her biological father if she asks for that help. And I hope you live up to that, Mr. White.
I most certainly will, Your Honor. I told this young lady when she first stepped into my life I'd help her find the truth.
But that's just the beginning. In another case, things get even more tangled. Imagine arriving in paternity court only to discover the two potential fathers are brothers with the same last name. That's the saga of Michael Shockley versus his brother Steve Shockley, both possible fathers of 31-year-old Desiree Boone. Family ties, identity, decades of father-daughter memories, all up for debate. Judge Lake introduces the case, and Mike shows up armed with a chart. Yes, an actual chart. The drama is off to a sprint.
Two brothers could be the father. Two brothers with the same name could be the biological father. This is a lot.
It is.
It really is.
When he came to me and he told me that he was my dad, I went to family members and I asked them, did you know that there was a possibility? And even though she was not at the time telling me there was a possibility Steve was my dad,
Mike lays out his theory. He makes girls and Steve makes boys. Steve shuts that down fast, reminding everyone that ultrasounds aren't gender guarantees. Judge Lake gently points out that the boy maker logic isn't helping much, but applauds both men for stepping up. It's messy, but undeniably heartfelt.
So, Mike, you say you have all girls.
Yes, ma'am.
3 girls, and Desiree's right there in the middle. Steve, you have all boys.
Yes, Your Honor.
5 boys.
And one daughter.
He's serious about that one daughter. And you believe this shows basically that I guess Mr. Shockley makes boys.
Next, the witness chair fills. Mike's daughter, Crystal Dennis, takes the stand with absolute conviction. She has always believed Desiree is her sister. She cites documents, matching tattoos, all the signs of devoted daddy's girls. Her confidence is sweet until the complicated family tree, where uncles overlap with cousins, starts to twist everyone's brains. The room practically tilts.
And if you reaching because you so desperately want to be her father, right or wrong or indifferent, I will never ever condemn a man in this courtroom desperately wants to be a father. Yeah, Mr. Shockley, I don't think that added up any.
Crystal doesn't hold back. She asks the big question. Why did Steve wait 20 years to come forward? Steve bristles at that, insisting Desiree was kept from him and he would have spoken up much earlier if he could. The tension surges. Everyone is protecting their version of the past and the emotions collide.
As Mike's, we fought as kids over who was more of a daddy's girl, you know? She'd be like, oh, you're mama's girl. No, I'm daddy's girl. And you know, we went back and forth. We grew up with him. He's on our birth certificates. He's got our names tattooed on his neck, one on each side. We've always been daddy's girls.
Judge Lake turns to Desiree. Hearing her sister talk about their shared parents stings deeply. Desiree admits it's cracking the foundation of the bond they grew up with. That idea of sharing both mom and dad was their anchor. You can hear her voice tremble. Everything she believed about her family is shifting under her feet.
20 years to come up and say something. Why? That hurt us more than anything. If you were, why did you wait?
But why are you blaming me? I mean, like I said a while ago, I would have told her years ago if they hadn't kept her from me.
She was my little girl.
She's my daughter.
So Desiree, when you hear this and you hear your sister talk about how much it meant to her that you shared the same mother and the same father.
Desiree opens up further. The identity she built as a daddy's girl with Mike feels shaky now. Even her connection with her sister is wavering. She feels suspended between two lives. Watching her process it is heartbreaking. This is decades of personal personal identity suddenly put on trial. Judge Lake gently refocuses and asks the question that changes everything. Right now, who do you call dad?
It broke, it's kind of broke the connection of the daddy's girl that I had. It broke that connection with him. It broke the connection with my sister because I don't know if that is my full-blooded sister anymore.
I love you.
It makes me question so many, it makes me question, I love you too. It makes me question so much.
Desiree answers without hesitation, Steve. She says she feels in her heart that he is her biological father. After the truth surfaced, her relationship with Mike faded, while Steve stepped forward and has been a consistent, steady presence ever since. The statement lands hard. Mike's expression says everything. He's devastated.
Oh, you do?
Yes, ma'am.
So my next question was, who do you believe is your biological father?
In my heart, I feel like Steve is. When he told me that, after that, he lost contact a lot. So
who did?
Me and Mike did. We lost contact.
Wait, you were a daddy's girl. Just because you asked the question and then he gave the answer, then you lost contact?
It was contact as we never stayed in contact with each other. Like, he kind of backed out a little bit. Like, he kind of backed away a little bit.
Judge Lake acknowledges Desiree's inner turmoil and asks Mike why he pulled back. Mike explains that he thought she needed space to bond with Steve. Desiree agrees she asked for time, but says he stepped back more than she expected. It's another painful reminder of how many moments in this family's story almost aligned, but didn't.
And I just want you to know you are in no way wrong. What other choice would you have?
Right.
When you don't know. And so once it was uncovered, Mr. Shockley, Michael Shockley, where'd you go?
I just figured that she wanted me to back up a little bit. That way they could get closer, if he was her dad.
In the way, and it could have been, and I can understand where he would come with that.
Judge Lake takes a moment to check in on the emotional stakes. Desiree admits she wants both men in her life, no matter the outcome. One as her father, and the other as her uncle. Steve promises that even if he's not the biological father, he'll still be the best uncle she could ever have. Mike hopes she turns out to be his daughter, but above everything, he wants Desiree to be happy. It's almost too much to take in.
Dr. Baird, we have a case in the courtroom today. We've never seen anything like it at paternity court. Dr. Baird, we have two biological brothers with very similar names. I want to make sure that we understand, how does DNA diagnostics differentiate between the two men at the facility? Two men with almost the same names, but also the same mother and the same father.
Well, that is certainly a difficult thing to do genetically, to sort out which of the two is the true biological father.
Then Ms. Grove steps in. She confesses she's always hoped Mike was Desiree's dad and apologizes for the pain caused along the way. The room hums with a mix of love, regret, and anticipation. Judge Lake calls for the envelope and suddenly everyone is bracing. Whose world is about to flip in the next minute?
Woman here who has waited 31 years for this answer.
The chain of custody is very important in cases like this. So when the samples are collected, there are photographs taken of the individuals having their sample collected. There are signatures that are obtained at that time.
So you know they are the person.
That's correct. And again, we follow.
The results land like a thunderclap. Judge Lake reads, in the case of Shockley versus Shockley, the biological father of Desiree Boone is Mr. Steve Shockley. Steve exhales in relief. Mike holds himself with quiet dignity despite heartbreak, and Desiree tries to absorb the truth of 31 years in an instant. It's as raw and real as it gets.
Whoever it turns out is my dad, I still want a relationship with both of them. Just one is my uncle, one is my dad.
And you deserve that.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Shockley, Steve Shockley, if the results show you are not her biological father, will you regret ever mentioning this to her?
No, Your Honor, because even if it does show it, I know what step I have to take next.
Afterward, Ms. Grove apologizes again, saying she truly believed Mike was the father. Steve turns to Mike with a simple, powerful, "I love you, brother." Desiree reminds everyone that sisterhood doesn't hinge on DNA. Despite everything, this family chooses unity. As Judge Lake often says, there's beauty in the chaos.
Just hope whatever the decision is makes her happy.
Ms. Grove?
Yes.
What are you feeling in this moment?
I can't explain it. I would like to be her dad because they've always had such a strong bond. Her growing up, I can't change the past. I'm sorry for a lot of things, but in my heart, I feel like Mike is her dad.
Judge Lake closes with compassion, acknowledging the bravery it took to confront years of confusion. The court offers guidance, and the room settles into a fragile but genuine sense of relief. It's not a perfect ending, but it's honest, and sometimes that's exactly what people need.
By DNA diagnostics, and they read as as follows. In the case of Shockley versus Shockley, pertaining to whether Steve Shockley or Stephen Michael Shockley is the father of 31-year-old Desiree Boone, it has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Steve Shockley.
Then comes another case, Renfro versus Toozy, filled with its own storm. A 6-month-old baby with a serious medical condition and an alleged father who's already backed away because he says the child doesn't look like him. Ms. Renfro stands firm. She's certain of paternity and she needs clarity for her son Kendall's health. The drama starts immediately.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is the case of Renfro versus Toozy.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Renfro, you claim you are 100% certain that the defendant is the father of your 6-month-old son, Kendall. You say Kendall was born with a serious medical condition and believe it was genetically passed down by the defendant. And that's why today's paternity result.
Mr. Toozy admits he hasn't been involved because, in his opinion, the baby looks too light-skinned. Judge Lake shuts that down instantly. Ms. Renfro's hurt is visible, and the courtroom falls into one of those heavy silences where everyone feels the discomfort.
Forget about, nothing.
So you're saying, Ms. Renfro, that Mr. Toozy hasn't shown any care, concern about...
He's never even seen my son.
Your Honor, I seen him one time. I went over her house one time and that was it, and I realized the baby just don't look nowhere near like me.
So you admit that you have not stepped up to the plate for the baby because you truly don't believe this child is your child.
He then pivots to claiming he saw a text from an ex that raised doubts about paternity, though he can't remember what the messages said. Judge Lake isn't buying it. The tension keeps tightening.
What happened the day you told him?
He didn't say nothing. He was like, well, who's the dad?
I had seen a few text messages from her random ex-boyfriends.
It wasn't
the
no
dudes
ex.
that she had sex with before, and I know this for a fact.
5 months prior to...
What did the text messages say, sir?
I really don't remember what he said. I just kind of glanced through it.
So wait a minute, you saw text messages.
Next, he throws out the argument that he was with a past partner for 5 years and never got her pregnant, as if that proves anything. Meanwhile, Ms. Renfro drops a devastating truth. Kendall was born with Hirschsprung's disease and required surgery at just 6 days old. Judge Lake's expression shifts. This is no longer hypothetical. This is a life and death matter.
And I didn't get her pregnant. And not only that, about 2 years ago, me and my good friend, we had sex and she got pregnant, and she tried claiming the baby was mine, and she got a DNA test and it wasn't my baby.
But you do understand that despite all of that, it has zero relevance as it relates to this child born to this one.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Renfro explains she reached out during the medical crisis, but he never responded. Mr. Toozy fires back, asking why another man signed the birth certificate. She says her ex stepped up because someone needed to. Her exhaustion shows. This is a mother stretched thin by hardship and hurt.
My son deserves to know who his dad is because of the issues he has with his health, and he just needs to take responsibility for his child.
Were you intimate with anybody else during the window of time when Kendall was conceived?
No, Your Honor.
Are you sure of that?
Yes, I'm 100% sure. I know who my kids belong to. I don't just lay down with everybody. I don't sleep with everybody unprotected, and when I do have sex with
Then
people...
why would you have another guy signing the birth certificate?
Judge Lake shifts the focus to family health history. She asks whether anyone on Mr. Toozy's side has intestinal problems. He says no, then tries circling back to Kendall's complexion again. Judge Lake practically levitates out of her seat. The child is 6 months old and the mother is white. Translation, stop with the amateur genetics. The eye roll could win awards.
Does anyone in your family have issues with their intestinal tract?
No, Your Honor.
And you don't have this disease in your family as well? Mr. Toozy, why haven't you been there? I mean, this child is 6 months old. He has had to overcome medical issues.
The baby don't look nowhere near like me. If the baby was mine, it'd be a little more darker than what it is.
Because you done made it up in your mind.
No.
We hear what daily life looks like for Ms. Renfro. Surgeon appointments twice a month, infections, emergency hospital visits, and trying to gather medical background from a man who won't respond. She's barely holding it together. It's heartbreaking to watch.
What has it been like for the past 6 months? To have to raise this child without the man you say is his biological father and go through all of this medical, I mean, look, when you're having a medical issue, everybody knows the first thing they ask you is your family history. You're not able to give a lot of the information related to Mr. Toozy's side if in fact he is the child's biological father.
Because he ignores me.
Because he won't cooperate. So how has this been for the last?
It's stressful, it's hard. My son has to see a surgeon twice a month.
A witness steps up, firmly backing Ms. Renfro. She is adamant. Mr. Tuzzi is the father. No hesitation, no wavering. The confidence fills the room. Judge listens closely while Mr. Tuzzi looks irritated beyond words. His expression speaks volumes.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. It has been determined by this court. Mr. Tuzzi, you are not the father.
Yes!
Oops.
Told you!